Well, if you can tell that I'm excited, it's because I must have been blessed today. UPS came at 1:30 rather than 5:30. I'm so happy. And these should be my last components. My last Amazon box and my last used component. I'm actually going to open this one over here first because I bought it off eBay and they promised me perfect condition of this monitor. And what this is, it's a 23.6-inch LCD monitor that is 120 hertz refresh rate. And what that means is, you know how the televisions have 120 hertz? What they do is they emulate the signal that's 60 hertz and they add in little pictures so that it looks smoother. This monitor will actually take a true 120 hertz signal via a DVI link D cable from your computer, a dual link DVI, and it'll actually be technically able to display 120 frames a second if your system can put that out. Now the great thing about that is it just means it's going to be ultra smooth. Your eyes won't see 120 frames a second, but it'll be ultra smooth. And it'll also do NVIDIA 3D, but of course I'm using AMD 7870 cards. So let me open this and see what condition it's in so that I can hopefully give this guy a very amazing feedback to tell it that he's a good seller. So I really hope it's in the exact condition he said, and if it is, I'll be overjoyed. I'm always pessimistic when I buy used items, but I have yet to have too many large purchases go wrong on eBay, and they always protect you. So if this didn't work out right, I just tell PayPal, hey, the monitor's not the way he said it would be. I'll ship it back to him and they'll give me my money back. But I wanted to at least take this chance. Over here, he did tell me he'll be sending me a dual link DVI cable. There is only a single link in the box, and he said he would ship it later, so that's still fine. We'll see when it comes in. We have our power cable. If you notice, it actually still uses a full-size cable, which is nice. I like it when I don't have to have a separate power brick that I'll have to replace very quickly. And let's pull this monitor out and hope, please, be in the perfect condition that you said it was in. As with most Acer monitors, the base snaps in. So there's that monitor. So this looks clean enough for me to test out, and I'm going to pull out my laptop and plug it in with an HDMI to see what it looks like. That looks good. I am happy with this monitor, and it actually looks really nice next to this case. Much larger than my 18.4-inch laptop, which is a beast for a laptop, but this is going to be a lot of fun. Let's move on. Okay, number one, we have an ASUS Maximus 5 Gene motherboard. For a Intel 1155 socket, this is the very best, again, most expensive micro ATX motherboard you can pretty much get. It looks beautiful, as you can see, is right here, and I will get a closer look after I get it out of the box. But inside we have, of course, our motherboard, our micro ATX motherboard, a do not disturb sign for gaming. We have our faceplate for the back of our thing. We have an SLI bridge, since these don't come with the cards for NVIDIA. We have a, this is their little upright multi. You can put an mSATA hard drive in one of these, which I think they make them as large as 256 gigs at the moment. And on the other side you could put like a wireless card, a mini PCI Express wireless card, and that is awesome. And inside we have some SATA cables, and these are 6 gigabits per second, so SATA revision 3. We have a male-to-male USB, which is used to plug this motherboard into another motherboard, and you can actually overclock and diagnose from a second computer real time, which is awesome as well. We have two more 6 gigabit per second LAN cables, and these all have 90 degree, which is great. And then we have a couple 3 gigabit per second, 2 of them. And inside we have, I'm not sure what these things are. They are something. We have labels, which I like labels, and a nice 3/8 inch thick manual with drivers and a sticker for ROG, since this is a Republic of Gamers motherboard. So I'm just going to put these back pretty much in the order that I found them, and then we're going to move on to the next expensive piece of technology. This one costs $200, I forgot to mention that. So $200 for a new Micro ATX motherboard, but this is about as good as you can get for this form factor, with the exception of going to an X79, which automatically would have increased. If I went for their basic processor for X79, I would have spent a minimum of $180 more for an older chipset. It would have been more capable in certain areas, and it would have had access to more expensive processors, but I decided the build I chose is plenty good enough. So there we have our Maximus 5 gene, which we'll put in there real soon. We have our power supply, and I went overkill once more. Because components can draw way too much power if they're overclocked, eventually this will be water cooled. I ordered a Seasonic 80 plus gold, which means it's 80% efficient across the range, 850 watt power supply. And for a Crossfire or SLI system, this is about as big as you ever need. Inside, ooh, this is beautiful. You have your manual. Looks like a 5-year warranty on this power supply. Amazing. We have a bag that's Velcro that comes with your power cable, and it comes with it's fully modular, so all of your cables ever needed to hook up anything on your computer is here, even for a bigger computer than this. The nice thing is, because it's fully modular, not all of these will be sitting in my case, making it bunched up. So I'll go over those cables throughout the build, at least for the ones I'll be using. But this is really neat. I love the smell of nylon, and we also have zip ties and some Velcro straps, as well as a Powered by Seasonic decal, which really all sorts of decals are going to be going on this case, and mounting screws specifically for this. I may use the black ones that came with it, but oh my goodness, can you believe this? It comes in a black velvet case, and I am not putting this one back in its box. It's one of the first things other than the motherboard that'll be going in, and it's heavy. This thing's probably the heaviest component, but you can just look at it and it says, at load conditions, less than 20% of maximum rated output, this power supply operates in fanless mode and the fan does not operate. So, in idle, this thing's never going to make noise. And if you can notice, it's just warning me to make me realize it's not broken. But on the back, we have all of our power connections, which we don't have to use all of them, but this is a beautiful, this is the company that makes all of Corsair's AX level grade power supplies. So this is essentially a cheaper version of the exact same product by the company that makes it. And so this particular one cost $160 for the 850 watt gold rated power supply. I decided to go with that rather than spend another $40 for a platinum. I needed to cut costs somewhere and limit myself at least a little bit. I'm really bad at telling myself no when I'm spending money, but I did a lot of time researching all of these components. So I'm going to put those back in there, and I'll just leave the power supply things out. So there's that box. Ooh, what's next? What's next? Ah! We need a hard drive. So I purchased a Plextor M5 Pro 256 gigabyte solid state hard drive. I'm going to have to figure out a way to mount this, probably run by a computer store to get a bracket. But this is a very high performing solid state hard drive. It is upwards in the level of those other hard drives like the Samsung 840 Pro, around the area. This one costs $220. I decided not to go for $270 for the Samsung Pro, and this one got a great review from Tom's Hardware. It actually comes with a 3.5-inch bracket, so I don't have to run to the store. Inside, it's a really nice case, comes in the hardened foam, folded close. We have a installation guide, we have limited warranty, but I think this thing has a 5-year warranty on a solid state drive. That's not bad at all. I think this drive is exceptionally beautiful. We also have some screws, some other screws. These are, we'll figure out what they're for. And of course, I'm just so happy they included this adapter because I want to put this computer together. And here we have a 2.5-inch to 3.5-inch mounting bracket, but this thing is so tiny. Actually, I just need to, it's of course the size of a laptop drive, but it weighs nothing. And this is 256 gigabytes. Look at that. That is absolutely beautiful and weighs nothing. Also uses hardly any power. Wonderful aluminum brushed finish, and I am just getting very, very even more so excited. So I'm going to put this back in its little box. That bag won't ever be used again. Actually, I might as well keep it in its static, anti-static bag just for awesomeness. And then we'll move on to our next contestant. The price was about as right as it could be, but I bought it anyway. So it's beautiful, it's so awesome. And now the counterpart to the keyboard is the Corsair Vengeance M90 mouse, and this is a generally used for RPGs mouse. It has, let's read this, 9 side-mounted buttons. I think there's a total of 15 buttons on this thing. Thank goodness they made a perforated section that I could pop out. So much for being upset about clamshell packaging. And we have our mouse here. And it is awesome. Everything's awesome today. Let's see, how does this open? Like that. Alright. We'll get there. We'll get it open somehow. It has some weird folds in it, and I don't like tearing things. But let's pull this mouse. Alright, I'll give you a closer look real quick. This mouse is also, there's many people that do much better reviews than my little unboxing here, but this is the mouse. It has 9 buttons. It has, again, that thick piece of aluminum on the bottom to give it body, same as here. Clicking is nice and light. We have a wheel that's weighted, and it's also aluminum, and then I think that sets the DPI. But this thing fits really nice in my hand, and it again has a braided cable. Longer life, looks cooler, heavier. I'm very happy about it. And this particular one was $53 and some odd cents. Things change on Amazon throughout the day. Sometimes it goes up $5, down $5. Of course, it comes with a starter guide, and this particular mouse will be used tonight once this build is done. And the very last piece, I'm trying to think, technically those graphics cards cost me $190 a piece, so I guess technically the very most expensive piece in my entire build is an Intel Core i5 3570K. It's an LGA 1155 socket, and this one cost $214. the most expensive single item on the list. This processor, the reason I did not go with the i7 is because I wanted to save $105, and the only improvement, which I do edit this video in high def, and it would have helped a little using Adobe Premiere Pro to have that i7 3770K, but this one overclocks extremely well, and in gaming does pretty much the exact same thing for 2/3 the price. It's all you need. And it has its serial numbers on here. And if you've noticed, I have not purchased a computer heatsink. And that is slightly dumb in one way, but the fact is, fairly soon I'm upgrading to a water cooling system, and then I would have wasted the money on an air cooler, and I'm not planning on, I don't need to overclock this right away. It comes with a little heatsink, and I just don't want it to fall out, so let's pull this heatsink out. Just comes with a factory heatsink with pre-applied thermal compound, and this is what's going to be keeping this processor cool for me. And then we have the little bitty Core i5 processor. So that is the unwrapping. Oh, they are so nice to tape closed the little health book. But they tell you exactly what to do, and I will be following this definitely once I get the motherboard inside. So now has been all of the unboxings of everything, and we will continue by finishing up this build. It will be awesome. I'm so excited. I think I've said awesome 1,000 times already.